What's up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSDMode podcast weekly real estate tip. And today I'm here to talk to you about the 6 foundational items that new real estate agents, so as a new real estate agent, these 6 foundational items that you must dial in inside your business right outside of the gate. Now, maybe you're not brand new. Maybe you're an agent that is somewhat struggling to go out there and get consistent business. All right, you might be missing one of these 6 different foundations. Now, I know a lot of you that watch and listen to this podcast are also team leaders and brokerage owners. We've got realtors, team leaders, broker owners, people watching and listening to this at all different levels. Now, if you're a team leader or brokerage owner, it's crucial and critical to make sure as you are onboarding new agents into your organization that you dial in these 6 foundational items for them as well. So these might be things that you already have dialed in, but you want to make sure that you got your agents dialed in on these as well to ensure that you accelerate their overall growth. And what inspired me to create this weekly real estate tip here today is lately I've had a lot of new agents reaching out to me, asking me, a common question is, hey man, I'm brand new. I'm just jumping into the industry, trying to decipher what brokerage to go join today. And I'm not going to be breaking down how to go pick a brokerage today on this. This is about you and your business. But the question then is around like, hey, where do I start? I'm stuck. I don't know where to start. Like, what are those things that I need to get dialed in outside or immediately right out of the gate? Now, these are the 6 things that I really focus on when I bring on a new agent internally into my organization of what I want to make sure that they have dialed in on within their first 30 days of joining, my team or my real estate company. All right, so let's break these 6 things down. Now, the first 5, the 6th thing which we're going to get into, which is lead gen, the first 5 though, and it's really crucial to have these 5 things dialed in before you even start to generating leads. So getting these first 5 things in, again, these are foundational items. Lead generation is important. But what I find is that so many jump into lead generation right out of the gate, which again, it's important. I get as to why new agents in this industry would do that. But what happens if you don't have these foundational items in place first is that you're going to have a much lower capacity, meaning you get out there and I see so many agents that get stuck in this trap where now all of a sudden they're popping maybe 2 to 3 deals a month. And like, that's their max capacity. Like they get to a point where, man, they're just bogged down now. They're maxed out with their time. Time management becomes an issue with just closing those 2 or 3 transactions a month. And 2 or 3 transactions a month is good business, right? I'm not trying to, make that sound like that's not good business. But you should not be at a max capacity doing 2 to 3 deals a month. Now, if we're talking 5 or 6, okay, like I can see how that's going to be a capacity for some. But these will ensure that you have a replicatable, duplicatable business. These will ensure that you don't have that those roller coaster months or those roller coaster careers that so many do, where you knock it out of the park for 1 or 2 months and then your next, 3 months suck, where it's, you make money and then boom, you fall off, the roller coaster, the peak of the roller coaster, you go down, and then all of a sudden you got 2 or 3 months with no money, and then you go up, you make some income, and it just, it's this income roller coaster that so many find themselves getting stuck on. All right, so as I go through these foundational items, the first 5, again, are what we want to get in place before we get lead generation in place. But then from there, they're in no particular order, right? They're all important. They're all equally as important, so I'm just going to walk you through the order that I do them in. And these, again, are things that I want to make sure that any new agent joining my organization has these fully in place and dialed in within their first 30 days, worst case. This doesn't take long. You can have these dialed in within 2 weeks. It does not take long to get these dialed in. All right, so item number 1 here is going to be walking you through your goal setting process, right? Like you got to understand and know what success looks like for you in this industry. Because if we don't set your goals clearly and concisely, well, then it becomes very difficult to create the right plan and overall strategy for you. So what does success look like for you long term? Of course, we want to know what your goals are for the next 12 months. That's important. But we also want to look at, okay, well, what are your goals? Where do you want to be in 3 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you want to be in 20 years? And look, this is going to change. If you are brand new in the game, like this probably will evolve. This probably will change, but just do your best. Like thinking about, okay, if I could snap my fingers and in 5 years or 10 years, have the perfect business. Look, as we were jumping into this industry, I'm sure most of us had dreams Well, we visualize like what this could look like. If there were no limitations, if you could go out there and build your dream business 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever that timeline is, what would that look like? What would your life look like? What would your lifestyle look like? What would your perfect day look like? The more clarity you can get on that up front, the better, because then you can start making those right strategic decisions day in and day out to go out there and make that a reality. Look, if we look at every activity that we are doing all throughout the day, each and every day, is us laying bricks. Okay, well, if we're laying these bricks, we might as well lay them in the right strategic order. So then that way, once we get done laying all those bricks, boom, we've built the empire that we want to build. All right, so the more clarity that you can get on what it is that you want to create, what is important to you, what you want it, why it's important to you, then boom, that leads us into the next phase of step number 1, which is business planning. So I spend a lot of time with my agents up front. I'm making sure they get crystal clarity. I walk them through a lot of exercises so they can get crystal clarity on what they want, why they want it, why it's important to them, what they want long-term, what they want short-term. So then we can craft an effective business plan in order to make that a reality. Now, when we're business planning, we're just talking about the next 12 months. Okay, in the next 12 months, and you guys, here's the cool thing is this business is predictable. It's not just predictable. It's easy to reverse engineer this stuff. Okay, well, what's that income goal for the next 12 months? And that 12-month goal exists to get you one step closer to that long-term goal. But what's the income that you want to make within the next 12 months? Okay, well, how many homes must you close within that next 12 months? And then from there, right, we want to reverse engineer. Okay, well, how many leads is it going to take? How many appointments set do we need to set? How many conductions? So by the end of this, when I get done with one of my agents walking through this, we know over the next 12 months exactly how many homes they must close, how many leads they must generate, how many appointments set, how many appointments conducted, how many clients, how many reach outs, how many conversations. So we know that on an annual basis. Then we can break that down now to a quarterly basis. Then we can break it down to a weekly basis. Then we can break it down to a daily basis. Look, one of the biggest mistakes that people make is, outside of not getting clarity, is they don't know what they need to do to win each and every day. Right? Like, you got to know what you need to do to win each and every day. If you don't know what that is, then you're going to lose, right? Like, maybe you get lucky and you have a good year. But I'm telling you right now, like, hard work alone is not enough to go out there and create success. Yes, hard work is something that you're going to have to do. That becomes imperative. But we want to make sure that we are hitting those right targets. And here's the cool thing, again, like this stuff is not difficult to go out there and figure out based on what our lead gen strategy is, what are the lead sources we're attacking. We can know what those conversion rates are, know how many reach outs, conversations, appointments set. Got all this stuff broken down to a science, so we know what this is. Now, with a brand new agent, look, there's a lot of, deciding factors or things that can impact this, based on their skill set, their sales background, how good they are, how green they are when it comes to sales. Like, okay, for me as an example, when I first got into the business, I was new to real estate, but I had 9 years of a sales background, 9 years of selling and working with the consumer. And it was a different product. I was in the health and fitness industry, but I had 9 years of selling the gym membership. So 9 years of, follow-up, foundation and all of those things, so of course everybody's had a different skill set with this, and it doesn't matter what your foundation skill set is, but this isn't going to necessarily be perfect out of the gate. This is what's going to lead me into item number 2 here, which then is your tracking system. So you got to make sure out of the gate that you have your right tracking system in place. Now I'll walk through what I recommend to track. And by say tracking system, dude, I do on mine in just Google Sheets. So we all have a Gmail. It's all free. Or if you don't have a Gmail, we can all get one. It's free. Inside our Gmail accounts, we have Google Drive, which again is free. Inside Google Drive, you can build out Google Sheets, which is essentially Excel, but just living inside Google. I know there's probably some differences for some of those Excel gurus out there, but to my knowledge, and I only utilize Google Drive for building out those, Google Sheets. But very similar, right? With formulations and all of that stuff. Now you might be like, oh, well, Josh, I don't know how to build these out. Okay. I didn't either. You can go on YouTube in 2 hours on a Sunday and figure this shit out, right? It's not difficult to go out there and figure out how to build these out, build all the formulas. Now with AI, it makes it easier than ever before to go out there and create and build all these formulas, right? It's not a difficult task, but it needs to be in place. All right, so what do you need to be tracking? You need to be tracking how many leads per lead source. And again, we're going to get a lead generation at the end here, but we need to be tracking, okay, how many leads per lead source, right? So how many leads that we are getting. Then over time, we're going to be tracking how many closings per lead source. So then over time, it becomes predictable on how many leads we are closing per lead source. So what our overall conversion is per lead source, right? So okay, hey, if I'm, let's just say I'm, be in the beginning new at this, and I'm converting 1 out of 100 with Facebook leads. Maybe I'm converting 1 out of 20 with open house leads, right? Like, okay, like we just need to track that, know that. You can always improve from there, but whether you're good at it or bad at it, we just need to know what your conversion rates are. So then again, okay, if you want to close 48 deals a year through open houses or whatever, let's just say 12 deals a year through open houses. Well, if we know what your closing rate is, and then we know how many leads you're getting on average per open house, okay, we then know precisely exactly how many open houses you need to be doing each and every year to go out there and make that a reality. Same with all lead sources, right? Like this stuff becomes very, very predictable. Okay, so then from there, not only how many leads per lead source and what your conversion ratio is per lead source, but then from there, how many reach outs? So how many dials, how many dials am I making to follow up with those leads? So how many reach outs, how many conversations, how many appointments set, how many appointment conductions, how many clients, and then boom, how many closings. So now I know how many leads per lead source, but I also know, again, how many reach outs, so how many dials, how many conversations, appointment set, appointment conductions, clients, and closings, and I can then create the formulations or the formulas within there so I know what those percentages are, so I know what the targets are, so I know my areas of improvement. So I could see a reality of my real business as it stands right now, but then I can also see areas of improvement. Okay, so like a target goals that we have, okay, we want to be at 75% or greater appointment set to conduction, right? So we set these appointments, we want a 75% or greater show rate. Okay, then from there, we want 85% or greater sign rate from appointment conduction to client. Then a 50% or greater a client to closing ratio, right? And then everybody inside my organization, I want to see having greater than a 20% appointment set to closing ratio, right? So those are just target benchmarks that we pay attention to so we can sit there and look at, okay, well, how well are we doing? How can we go out there and perform each individual agent's performance, right? So we got to know what those measurements are, right? So there's like anything, like, okay, what's our stats? And then what stats should I be aiming to improve to? But you got to track your data. The only way to make smart strategic decisions inside your business and plan appropriately, plan accordingly is through track data. So then after about 6 months, really a year of great track data, this is where this becomes very predictable. Right? So then from there, hey, you want to increase your business by 30%? Well, then you know exactly. You just go and increase each of your KPI numbers that you're tracking each of those metrics by 30%. So now you know exactly how many leads per lead source, how many reach outs, how many conversations, how many appointments set, how many appointment conductions, how many clients, how many closings, right? And then you can break that down on a yearly basis, a monthly basis, a weekly basis, and then each and every day to know if you are winning on a daily basis. So we got a not only business plan, we then have to have our tracking system in place. Now, what I recommend as a new agent, even if you're not generating leads yet or doing any lead follow-up yet, what I tell my agents to and encourage them to do is just put on zeros. Like with our trackers, we have our roll up for the whole year to date. Then we'll go have a tab for January, February, March, so a tab for each month. And then in those, it's okay each day. So the first of January, 2nd of January, 3rd of January. And we're able to just insert those, those numbers that we did of number of leads per source, number of conversations, appointments set, all of that, each and every day. So that rolls up over time and always tells us, year-to-date numbers on the roll-up. But then each month we'll get the month-to-date numbers on the monthly tab. What eventually happens is, okay, based on that data, after I get that accurate data, well, then now I know exactly what I need to do to increase my business, right? So making sure that you have your tracking system in place. I'm telling you guys right now, one of the ways why it's so damn easy to clean up in this business is like, even of seasoned agents, it's like probably less than 1% of agents that actually track their business correctly. Well, I'm telling you this right now up front. If you do not know the details inside your business, you might get lucky for a few years, but you are not going to win consistently. It is an impossibility. As the great Jeff Bezos says, if you do not know your details in your business, you will eventually fail. So it becomes a way to just go out there and clean house over time with your competitors, because you're running a very, strategic operational based business. Okay. So number 3 thing to get dialed in. Oh, what I was going to say earlier, what I have my agents do before they start, actually doing their lead gen and lead follow-up is just each day going through and putting in zeros. It's not going to screw up your data, because you're not doing anything those days anyway. But what it's going to be doing is it's going to get you used to and get you in that habit of putting in and putting that data every single day. Because tracking is a non-negotiable every single day that you're working inside your business or doing activity. Okay, you got to be tracking that data, right? So it's going to get you in that right habit. Okay, number 3 is having your CRM dialed in. So your tracking system is your most important system when it comes to making planning decisions, right? Like it's the only way to make smart strategic decisions, the only way to have a measured, tracked, predictable business. Then when it comes to our CRMs, this becomes our number 1 most important asset as far as the system that we are utilizing. Because what is a CRM? CRM is a customer relationship management system. So this is what we are managing all those imperative relationships, right? So when I say your CRM, I don't expect any of my agents to have this stuff mastered in 30 days, but I want it dialed in. There's a difference between dialed in and mastered. Dialed in means it's good enough and you're able to start using it and you understand it. Mastery means you're the cream of the crop at this thing, right? So when I'm talking about CRM dialed in, I'm talking about, okay, you got your different lead/contact sources in there. You know how to utilize it. You got your drip set up. You got your autoresponder set up. You know how to work that contact record. So now every single lead that you're getting is either going automatically in there or being manually inputted in there. You know what drips to set them up on, or you have it queued and triggered to set those drips up automatically. So this lead comes in, automatically gets set up on this autoresponder. These, 1,000-day long email text drip follow-ups automatically task you to go out there and do your phone calls, or so forth. Or maybe you're manually setting up on but what drips, how to add them. You're consistently adding them. You know what drips and what follow-up plans to put in place, and you know how to work that contact record and clear out that task queue. Now, this is like with my agents, like a 4-hour deal. That's what I say. Like this stuff is quick. It might sound like a lot, but everything I've talked about so far is like one day. Like one full day. We got all this stuff dialed in and rock and roll in less than one full day. So this stuff, don't use this excuse of, oh my God, this is so much. It takes so much. No, dude. Like this is like less than a day's worth of when I say a day, less than 8 hours of, a full day, when it pertains to work, of getting this stuff set up and rocking and rolling. But when you got to make sure that you know how to clear out your daily task, it becomes crucial. When you look at a CRM, look at your CRM as essentially an assistant inside your business. So if you were to go out there and hire an assistant, that assistant's going to do certain things for you that you can delegate to that assistant. So, the automation piece, right? So my CRM is going to, fire off all the emails and text messages. So if I have a lead coming in and I set them up on 1,000-day email text drip protocol, okay, that's 1,000 email and text drip messages I don't have to remember to do. I don't have to do. So it saves me a ton of time, allows me to be more effective and more efficient. Okay, then with my assistant, the things I can't delegate out to my assistant, I'm going to have that assistant then remind me, so then that way I don't forget. So like with my calls, okay, I have a past client as an example, Imperfect Storm, the CRM that I utilize. When it turns into a past client, I just click a button for my past client follow-up drip. And now, boom, that campaign is fired off for the next 20 years. I don't have to think about it for the next 20 years. It's going to tell me exactly what to do, when to do it, when that time's due. I don't have to think about it, but it's going to ensure that I don't drop the ball with that past client for the next 20 years. So making sure that you got your CRM dialed in. Okay, so item number 4 is your presentations. So when I say presentations, this is going to be your buyer consultation and your listing presentation, getting those 2 things dialed in. And when I say dialed in, we're not talking mastery here. It might take you 500 or 1,000 reps, to go out there and master those. But it needs to be good enough where then, okay, when you are working hard to go out there and generate a lead, follow up with that lead, get that lead converted, now boom, you're at the conference room table or at the kitchen table, you got to have a good enough presentation to be able to present to them to get them to become a client. So it's got to be good enough. So dial in your buyer consultation, dial in your listing presentation. So again, now agents that join my team, or people that join my, realtors or team leaders or brokers that join my coaching program, I give them all of this stuff. So I just give them all of this, walk them through the step by step, so they have this in place. They already have a world-class buyer consultation, world-class listing presentation in place. So if you don't have one through your brokerage or through the team that you're joining with, okay, you got to go get one, right? You got to go out there and find one and get one and rip off and duplicate or figure that out, right? But you got to have those in place. And again, it doesn't have to be good enough. So within your first couple weeks, though, I recommend to get it in place and just start practicing it. And by practicing it, you don't have to have people to practice it with. Just set up at your kitchen table at home. Do this late in the evening or whatever. Pretend as if you got buyers sitting across from you or sellers sitting across from you, and you're just going through the motions, right? And you're just, boom, here's my listing presentation, here's my buyer consultation. Get through 1, 2, 3 reps every single day. Very good, very quickly, you're going to get damn good at this. Okay, so then from there, item number, what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I actually lied to you. I got 7 items. These 6 before the lead gen. Okay, so I miscalculated with my math there. Okay, so the next one here is your sphere of influence / past client strategy in place. The reason why we want this in place right up front is because if you don't, you're going to drop the ball on this. And maybe you do, maybe you don't. But we know that 90% of this industry massively drops the ball on this. If you look at NAR stats, you got 88% of buyers and sellers said that they love utilizing their agent, would utilize them again. Only 11% ever do a repeat transaction. Well, why did they only 11% do a repeat transaction? It's not because their agent did a shittier job over time in their head. It's because they forgot their damn name, right? It's our job as real estate professionals to teach and train people to do business with us, do repeat business with us, and send us that referral business. If you don't have this in place up front, well, then you're going to get very busy very quickly working these leads and working clients. And then, okay, boom, they close. You're going to collect that commission check, drop the ball on them, and not take advantage of that repeat referral business. One of the most important things out of the gate you can understand is that lifetime value of a customer is the most important thing that you can pay attention to in business overall. Meaning that, okay, you close this client, maybe your average commission is, I don't know, whatever it is, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, whatever your average agent, whatever your average commission is, right? Well, thinking that is only 5, 8, 10 grand. Mine's 10 grand, so let's just say it's 10 grand. Just for sake of this podcast. All right, that's an amateur thought process of thinking that customer was worth 10 grand in my business. Professionals, true professionals, understand that customer is worth $70,000+ to their business, right? Over the lifetime of my career, if I do my job at staying in touch with, building that relationship and keeping that rapport and that connection long term, right, with the repeat business that they're going to do and the referrals that they're going to send, there's another 60, 70 grand there at least out of each customer that comes in on average, right? So it's that lifetime value increase of each customer that's going to set you apart long-term in your career, right? So make sure that you have this in place because it is not enough. Now, you may not know this out of the gate. If you're watching this, if you're brand new, just starting this out, you may not know this yet, but you will quickly realize it. It is not enough to just go out there and deliver great service to a client. That's the given. That's what's expected, to go out there and go above and beyond and deliver great, amazing service to that customer, to that client. But then from there, regardless of how great your service is, if you do not stay in touch after the fact, they are going to forget your name. Your mother will forget that you are in real estate. To your mother, you are a son or daughter. She's going to forget that you are in real estate, right? So your clients, no different, cannot drop the ball on that. Okay, then the last component before we get into lead generation is going to be what I call local market expertise, right? And this doesn't take long. What I mean by this is, now if you're seasoned, you know your local market, cool. Most new agents, though, do not know their market when it comes from a real estate standpoint yet. So here's what we do for this, okay, is we devote 1 hour a day to looking into the MLS. So when I say look in the MLS, we're going to log into the MLS. We're going to pull every active listing. So this is just going to be for the last 24-hour period. So every active listing that's come available in the last 24 hours, anything that's went pending in the last 24 hours, anything that's sold in the last 24 hours, anything that's went, canceled, expired, withdrawn in the last 24 hours. So we're pulling that 24-hour report with all of those. And then we're doing an in-depth analysis. So, reviewing all of the MLS information, reviewing all of the photos, reviewing all of the tax information on those properties. Now, for your first 2 weeks, it's going to feel like you're trying to learn German, or it feels like a bunch of gibberish, or, insert whatever language, right? Like, it's going to be confusing and not make a lot of sense. But after about that 2 to 3 week, time frame of doing this, boom, it starts to click. You will start to see, okay, what are the popular neighborhoods? What are the popular school districts? What are the popular builders? What are things actually selling at price per square foot in that area within that school district? What are the prices where things aren't selling, that aren't moving, right? So very quickly, after 30 days of this, like, you will master your local market, whatever the market that you're working on and focusing on. Okay, the second part of that, because there's two parts to the local market expertise. The second part of this is picking one neighborhood that you're going to go drive. So spending an hour, maybe 90 minutes, driving that neighborhood, getting to know all the streets, all the parks, all the schools, local businesses associated with that. And while you're in there driving that, preview 2 properties. So if they're resale properties, I recommend to have it where it's 2 vacant properties. So you're not having to disturb, any homeowners, or maybe there's new build specs in that area. That's going to do a couple things. One, it's going to get you used to walking homes. It's going to get used to using your lockbox key, walking that property, turning on lights, turning off lights, all of those things, right? You're going to see a lot of properties. It's going to get you used to walking properties. But then the second component to that is it starts creating a lot of social media content. So you can start, doing videos. You can start doing pictures. You can start doing postings about you out there previewing properties for, future potential clients, whatever it may be. So now you're getting, boom, you got, social media content going out there that, you're in the field every single day. People are now seeing images that you're in the field. Now you're not lying. You're not saying, oh, I'm, out showing clients, right? I would use terminology of that's factual. Out previewing some homes today for future potential clients. Like, yeah, previewing homes for future potential clients. Might be some future potential clients. I plan on getting future potential clients after this post that I'm posting right now on social media, about this property, right? So utilizing those terms, it creates that perception. Perception is more powerful than reality itself, but then again, even if you're not utilizing that to go out there and start posting social media content, boom, you're getting used to, again, previewing those properties and getting to know those markets. Okay, so then once we've got those 6 core things dialed in, right, then from there, that leads me to the last one here. And I want to make sure that my agents have these dialed in. And like I said, you guys, all of these things now with the local market expertise, that's going to be ongoing for about 30 days. So all these other things we might get done in a few days. So then for there, this other thing, this lead gen strategy, like we might be working on this on now day 5, local market expertise, that can be going on for the full 30 days. So like I said, this isn't got to be like, do this, then do this. It's like, we just want to get these knocked out as quickly as possible. All right, so then now we step into the lead generation strategy itself. So this is how we're going to go out there and start acquiring customers. Now, we've already got our sphere of influence and past client plan and strategy in place, right? So a lot of times for new agents, your sphere of influence is going to be one of the quickest ways to tap into business. So I'm not going to talk about sphere of influence and past client strategies because we already got that in place. Now we're talking about new business with people that are unaware of you, right? So new strangers, how do we go out there and acquire new business? So my recommendation is to identify as a new agent 1 to 2 strategies. So 1 at a minimum, but 2 if needed, depending on how many hours that you're working and based on what these strategies are and, whatever, it can differentiate. But 1 to 2 that are for now immediate business. And when I say now immediate business, what I mean by this is anything that's going to result in a closing in less than 4 months. So how you can go out there and get a client in the next week or 2, then get that client, get them under contract, get paid, whatever in less than 4 months. That's what I classify as now immediate business. Anything that's resulting in a paycheck in less than 4 months. So what is that going to look like? That's going to look like more of your prospect-based heavy stuff. So open houses, whether it be open houses, going after expireds, FSBOs, there are certain online lead sources like a Zillow, Zillow Live Connect that can go into this category. Your lender lead strategy that I've talked a lot about in these podcasts, so you can go learn more about those. I've talked about open house. I've talked about all this stuff in other podcasts, so you can go re-reference those. Okay, so 1 to 2 for now immediate business. Then identify 1 to 2 for longer term business. Now keep in mind though, if you have 2 for short-term business, now immediate business, 2 for long-term business, now you also got your past client, repeat referral business, SOI strategy. So now you're talking 5 things, that you got to be out there doing. I don't know why I'm holding up a 6 finger here. Let's just say I got open houses. Then maybe I'm doing Zillow, Zillow Flex. Then maybe I'm doing YouTube for long-term. Then maybe I'm doing Facebook, ads for long-term. Well, then I got my past client repeat referral business. So 5 may be too much for you, right? So again, we just have to do that honest assessment and see sometimes less is more, but that's right. Identify 1 to 2 that's going to lead to now immediate business, and 1 to 2 that's long game, right? And by long game, I mean anything that you're going to get paid on for, 4+ months, so a common thing that I'll talk to agents about is they'll be like, well, man, I'm working on my social media lead gen building, which can mean a lot of different things. But then also build out my YouTube channel. I'm like, okay, those are great. Those are awesome things. Highly effective. I do those things too. But then I'll ask them if they're new. I'm like, how much money do you have in the bank? How many months can you go without making a paycheck? And usually it's like, 3, 4, 5, kind of 6, is rare to see people have 6 months in the bank without can go 6 months without a paycheck. So when I hear that, I'm like, okay, so the things that you're working on, great, YouTube, social media. I'm like, but before those kick in, you're going to be out of money, right? So, those are 6 to 9, probably close at 9 to 12 months between YouTube and let's just say, free Facebook lead gen strategies and paid Facebook lead gen strategies, let's just say. We're combining those in YouTube. Those are more 9 months, before you start seeing consistent business coming from those. You might get lucky and pop a deal before then, or several deals before then, but that's what we got to plan and expect for. So we got to know the timeline of each lead source. So I'm like, okay, I'm not saying to abandon those things, but understand, if you were just fully focused on those, you are going to be out of fucking money before you even able to see the fruits of your labor that you're putting in. So stack in something like open houses, which I know open houses are a pain in the ass for most. I get why people don't like open houses. But understand, some of these things are a means to an end. Once my YouTube channel is crushing and kicking ass and bringing me 3 deals every single month consistently, which might take 9 to 12 months to do, okay, well, then I can abandon the open houses. But I know open house, if I go do 2 open houses this next weekend, I know I'm coming out of there with a client, right? So, okay, what are those now strategies or strategy that you're going to do for that now immediate business? And then again, what are you doing to, build that long term? So personally, I like to have 1 to 2 for now immediate business and 1 to 2 for the long term. Now, again, eventually I can drop the now immediate kind of more time consuming, prospecting based things once the long term start kicking in and I'm getting consistent residual business from those. So just keep that into perspective. Okay, so to recap these, success foundations. So we got clarity on your overall goals, your long-term and short-term goals. We got your 12-month business plan built out. We then have your tracking system in place. We then got your CRM dialed in. You then got your presentation, so your buyer presentation, your listing consultation in place. And the reason I forgot to bring this up earlier, but those of you that have been doing this for a little bit of time, you know this and you get this. But the amount of energy and effort that it takes to get a lead, follow up with that lead, and convert that lead into an appointment is a lot of energy. That's like 90% of the effort and work. All the other shit's easy, as far as big picture. So then from there, with the amount of energy and effort and time that it takes to just get leads and get that opportunity to get face to face, you can't fuck that up, right? You got to go in there and present. Now you're going to botch something. That's okay. You're going to get more at bats. We're not saying perfect, but let's get good enough where you're converting at least 50% of those. You're right. So have those dialed. Okay. Then your sphere of influence, past client strategy. So you can capitalize on repeat referral business, then your local market expertise, and then lastly, putting into place your lead generation strategy. All right, guys, so I hope that you found this helpful. Also, make sure to check out GSDMode.com for more additional free resources and training. And if you need help getting any of this stuff dialed in, right? I've got my Mastery Bootcamp coaching program, which is the most effective, but also at the same time, the most affordable coaching program that exists out there. So all of these things that I just went through, if you want all of these processes, all of this stuff where you can just plug, play, paint by number system, I give you everything inside of my business, all in editable format where I show you what to do, how to do it, and I just give you everything. All the way from all the things that we talked about here today, also even more advanced stuff, hiring admin, recruiting agents, all of that stuff, everything in my business A to Z, I just give it to you. It's like a business inside of a box where I just give it to you. Plus, you have daily access to me where I support you every step of the way. And when we break down that program, it's less than your cost of your daily Starbucks. I made it where it's the most effective and most affordable coaching program that exists out there. That way, anybody can afford it, even if you're brand new, even if you're not making a lot of money yet. So if you want to check that out, go to gsdmode.com, click on the coaching tab. You can see a bunch of testimonials on it, and we got hundreds and hundreds of testimonials, video testimonials, written testimonials that you can check out on there. But the only way to really get more information about the program and sign up for the program is to book a discovery call with me personally. And the reason that I do that is twofold. Number one, I want to make sure that you know exactly what the coaching program is for. I'm not here to just go out there and sell everybody on the program. I want to make sure it's a fit for you. You got all your questions answered, so you have all the information that you need to make sure it's a fit for you or not. I've got a very strict no pressure policy, and these are with me personally. So I'm not going to hard sell you. If it's for you, great. If not, that's okay too. But then from there, I want to make sure that you're a fit for me. I do all the coaching in this program. Obviously, with it just being me taking on my coaching clients, I can't take on everybody. So I need to make sure that you're somebody that's coachable, and somebody that I think our drives and personalities mesh with and match with. So it's a way for us to both see if we are fit for each other. So again, that's gsdmode.com. Go to the coaching tab, schedule your zero pressure discovery call with me personally, and I look forward to talking with you there. All right, you guys, thank you so much for your time. Keep crushing it, keep kicking ass, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.